Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift even before anyone said a word? Have you noticed that some people seem to occupy a space with their soul, not just their body? And here's the most unsettling part. Could it be that, without realizing it, you disturb others just by being yourself?
Carl Jung once wrote that the psyche transcends the limits of the body, and that invites us to imagine something greater than just flesh, thoughts, and words. There's something within you, an invisible field, that moves before your voice does. It's your aura, and when it's in harmony with your truest essence, it's not just perceived, it's felt. But this powerful presence isn't always welcomed. Some people feel drawn to it, as if they found something they lost within themselves. Others pull away, get uncomfortable, project their issues, because your light, unintentionally, shines on the shadows they're not ready to face. And don't be mistaken, this isn't esoteric. It's psychological, it's existential, it's visceral. Jung believed that within each of us is the self, the organizing center of the psyche, where ego meets essence. When someone lives in alignment with that self, when their thoughts, feelings, and actions are in sync, their presence becomes a mirror. And not everyone likes what's reflected back at them. In this video, we'll explore 13 signs that your aura might be so powerful that, even without trying, it unsettles others. But this isn't just about them. It's about you recognizing the force field you carry. And most importantly, understanding that what makes you different is exactly what makes you magnetic. Because maybe without knowing it, you are one of those rare individuals whose mere presence can reorganize a room, not out of vanity, but out of truth. Sometimes you walk into a space and people turn around before you even say, hello. It's not the clothes, it's not the tone of your voice. It's something that comes before all of that. A silent vibration that announces, I'm here. Carl Jung said that presence is shaped by everything we've lived, everything we've integrated, and the truths we choose to uphold. That's the true origin of your aura. Not a mystical glow, but an energetic field built from your story, your battles faced, your non-negotiable values. It's your invisible signature, your effortless impact. Some people have a presence that fades over time. Others remain, even after they've left. That's because true presence doesn't rely on appearance. It comes from an inner coherence that resonates in the environment. It's like a scent no one sees, but everyone senses. And it's not about rehearsed charisma or stage presence. It's about that subtle density that emanates when you're whole, when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions move in the same direction. That alignment creates a unique frequency, impossible to replicate, and even harder to ignore. In this sense, the aura doesn't arrive after you. It arrives before. The body is just a formality. The psyche has already entered, already spoken, already been felt. And that can be beautiful, but also unsettling for those still living fragmented lives, trying to keep their masks in place. We are more than flesh and thought. We are presence. That's one of the most provocative ideas in the spirit of Jung, who saw the human psyche as a field far greater than the ego could ever grasp. And when that psyche aligns with truth, it gains weight, depth, and vibration. You may not see your own aura, but others do feel it. They feel it when you walk in, when you speak, when you simply look. And that impact often comes with a disconcerting feeling. You didn't do anything, but something happened. Someone got uneasy. Someone else was enchanted. One person pulled away. Another wanted to get closer. Your energy isn't neutral. It activates. And the truth is, the more authentic you become, the more refined your presence gets. You don't need to speak loudly. Your frequency speaks for you. You don't need to explain. Your vibration already conveys the essence. And here lies the paradox. The more truthful you become, the more misunderstood you might be. Because we live in a world that still finds it strange when something doesn't need to perform. Your presence, clear, coherent, awake, can be uncomfortable for those still living in disguise. But it can also be the spark that awakens someone from their numbness. So if you feel like you don't fit, that you stir things up, that you make an impact, maybe your aura is doing exactly what it came here to do. Create movement. Don't try to fit where your soul needs to hide. And don't explain yourself to those who only see with their eyes. You were made to be felt. You walk into a room with a calm heart, not trying to draw attention. And yet, something shifts. Voices drop. People avoid eye contact. The air feels heavier, more charged. You sense a kind of resistance in the atmosphere, but you can't quite tell where it's coming from. The truth is simple, and at the same time, brutal. You're not doing anything, yet you're stirring up everything. Carl Jung once said, "Each of us carries a shadow, everything we had to reject or forget in order to be accepted." When your aura is clear, intense, and authentic, it brushes up against other people's shadows without even asking permission. And no, that's not arrogance, that's presence. And real presence activates what's been hidden. You become a mirror, and honest mirrors are frightening. Your mere existence confronts others with parts of themselves they'd rather keep locked away. Unlived desires, suppressed fears, pains they've never faced. And you, without saying a word, shine a light into that basement. That's why, out of nowhere, someone gives you a cold look, another avoids you, a third puts you on a pedestal. None of these reactions are actually about you, yet somehow they all pass through you. You become a living projection of other people's inner battles. And the worst part? Sometimes you start blaming yourself for it. You begin to wonder if you're being too much, if maybe you should dim your light a little. But dimming your light just to avoid disturbing those who live in the dark is a subtle form of self-betrayal. Your presence is neutral. What changes is the emotional state of the one receiving it. To those who are ready, you'll be a portal. You'll awaken courage, presence, even a sense of relief. People will feel more alive around you. To those who aren't ready, you'll be a disturbance. You'll trigger rejection, envy, discomfort. But none of it is personal. It's psychic. It's symbolic. Jung wrote that truths have a terrifying power for those still hiding behind masks, and your energy, when it's whole, becomes exactly that, a truth that can no longer be ignored. You don't need to attack anyone to stir up conflict. You don't need to confront directly to spark transformation. Simply being whole is enough to disrupt what's fractured around you. And that's why, so often you feel out of place, because your energy stirs invisible structures. You touch psychic layers without even realizing it, not out of power, but out of truth. And that can be exhausting. It can bring loneliness. It can make you question your own worth. But if there's one certainty on this path, it's this. Your presence is liberating, and not everyone is ready to be free. Some will avoid you like they're running from a fire. Others will follow you as if you were the compass they didn't even know they needed. And all of this while you're simply being. Don't lower your frequency just to be more acceptable. What's acceptable doesn't transform, and you were born to transform. There's a kind of wisdom that can't be learned through words, and it's the one instincts know. Animals, children, and even nature seem to sense something that escapes adults. They recognize your aura before they understand who you are. And it doesn't matter what you say, what you show, or what you hide. They feel it. A dog doesn't care about your resume. A baby isn't impressed by your status. A tree doesn't judge your appearance. But all of these beings respond to your vibration. They perceive what lies beyond the persona. They read your energetic field, the part of you that can't be faked. Carl Jung once said, "The unconscious understands symbols, emotions, and vibrations. It doesn't need explanations, only authenticity." That's why, when your aura is clear and centered, animals trust you, children are drawn to you, and nature embraces you. Have you ever noticed how some animals approach you like they've known you for lifetimes? Or how a child looks you in the eye with almost unsettling sincerity? That's not a coincidence. It's resonance. These beings are the living expression of the collective unconscious. They haven't been domesticated by language. They haven't learned to hide what they feel. They live with their senses wide open. And when your energy aligns with your truth, they recognize you as someone real. A child might smile at you before they even know your name. A cat might jump into your lap without you calling. A forest might feel more alive when you walk through it. That happens because you don't just move through the world. You interact with it energetically. It's as if nature itself whispers, "You belong." And that feeling, which so many seek in other people, is often found in the silence of an animal's gaze or the rustling of leaves. Because there, no one asks for explanations. No one judges you. They simply feel you. But the opposite is also true. When there's internal tension, imbalance, unresolved conflict, animals keep their distance. Children get restless. The environment closes off. And not because you're bad, but because your vibration is misaligned. Everything is frequency. Everything is silent perception. The strength of your aura is not measured by how much it impresses others, but by how effortlessly it communicates truth. And in this wordless communication, the most innocent are often the wisest. Because while adults are busy trying to figure out if you're trustworthy, a child has already decided, in seconds, whether they want to be near you. A dog has already decided if it trusts you. Life has already felt you. What these reactions teach us is simple. Your energy doesn't need to explain itself. It is already a language. And if there is a place where truth is perceived without noise, it's in this instinctive world. That's why, when your aura is respected by animals and children, don't doubt it. You're on the path of coherence. A path where you don't need to strive to be accepted, because you're already aligned with the oldest flow there is, the flow of real presence. People can feel it, even if they don't know how to say it. Even if they've never read a single line about energy or psychology, they can sense when there's something about you that can't be explained, but also can't be ignored. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And it's exactly this journey of walking through your own darkness that gives your aura its depth. It isn't born ready, it's forged. Your aura is the result of everything you've silently endured, of the times you had to start over from scratch, of the nights when the world seemed to fall apart and you chose to keep going anyway, of the masks you chose to rip off, even knowing you'd be judged. Your energy carries scars, and that's why it carries truth. The presence people feel in you didn't come from a manual. It came from the chaos you've learned to organize within yourself. That's why, when you walk into a space, something lingers, even after you've left. It's as if a part of you stays behind, reshaping the atmosphere, stirring up silence, sparking reflection. That's your field. It's your invisible legacy. It's the vibration of someone who doesn't live to please, but to be. Often that impact shows up as discomfort. People pull away, project, criticize, and you, without knowing why, find yourself rejected for no obvious reason. But the reason is always the same. Your truth threatens what's still living in lies. Your freedom unsettles those still living in chains. Your presence challenges those who've grown used to pretending, and that's not your fault. It's simply the result of choosing not to betray yourself anymore. Some will see you as arrogant, even if you say little. Others will call you different, as if that were a flaw. But few will be brave enough to admit what they're really feeling, that there's something in you that invites them to wake up, and waking up hurts. Your aura doesn't just carry who you are, it carries everything you've overcome. It's a living story, a book read in silence. That's why, so often, you don't need to explain yourself, because those who can feel it already understand, and those who can't, explaining won't help. You become a symbol, a reminder that it's possible to live with integrity, and at the same time, a challenge to those still clinging to their masks. That's the paradox of real energy. It welcomes and confronts. It heals and unsettles. It frees and it frightens. But never shrink yourself to fit into a space where your soul can't expand. Never water down your truth just because it makes others uncomfortable, because your presence, even in silence, is medicine for those who are ready, and an earthquake for those still asleep. In the end, the strongest aura isn't the one that shines the brightest. It's the one that reveals the most. And you only reveal because you've already dared to see yourself fully. You've made it this far. That alone says a lot. Throughout this video, maybe you saw yourself in more than one sign. Maybe you remembered moments when you walked into a room and felt the air shift, without knowing why. Or times when you were judged for being too much, when all you did was be true to yourself. But now, maybe it all makes a little more sense. Your aura isn't some mystical fantasy. It's the most honest expression of your inner journey. What others feel in you, even if they can't explain it, is your integrity resonating. It's your untold story. It's your healed scars. It's your refusal to shrink into what's small when your soul was made for the vast. You're not here to please. You're here to awaken. As Jung reminded us, what we do not face within ourselves will appear in our lives as fate. And maybe you are that very fate arriving for many in the form of presence. A presence that reflects, reorganizes, and yes, sometimes unsettles. But don't hold back because of that. The world needs whole people now more than ever. Auras that illuminate, even if they make others uncomfortable at first. Presences that don't just pass by but leave a mark. I want to thank you for staying with me until now, and I want to share something personal with you. There was a time when I used to wonder why certain people would distance themselves from me for no apparent reason. I thought I was doing something wrong, Maybe my intensity was too much. Until one day, an older man who barely knew me said, "There's something in your eyes, something that makes people remember what they didn't want to think about." At that moment, I didn't know how to respond. But later, I understood. Presence speaks. And sometimes, it touches exactly where the other person doesn't want to be touched. So if you've ever felt that, if you've had to deal with people pulling away, strange looks, or even over-the-top admiration, just know, maybe your aura is exactly what the world needs. Even if the world doesn't quite know how to handle it yet, keep being who you are, because your truth, even in silence, does far more than you realize. Now I want to offer you something that isn't for everyone, but it is for you, because you made it this far in search of deeper answers about who you are and where your life is headed. I created something that goes beyond a book. I built a map for the soul, a manual that blends science, philosophy, and critical thinking to help you break mental patterns, question your identity, and rebuild yourself from the ground up. This isn't an ebook filled with pretty quotes. It's a guide for those who can no longer stand living on autopilot. If you feel something inside you calling for change, growth, clarity, then this is your moment. Click on the pinned comment and access the manual of self-transformation now. Don't read it out of curiosity. Read it because your life depends on it. And if you decide to begin this journey, you won't be the same by the end of the path. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like it now, before your aura turns off the button on its own just to test your intuition. And of course, subscribe to the channel, or don't. But if you don't subscribe, know that your aura will feel a little guilty for letting this chance pass. Oh, and those videos popping up on your screen. One of them might explain why certain people suddenly disappear from your life. The other might reveal what your shadow is trying to say about your relationships. But that, only those who click will find out. See you in the next one. Or maybe before that, in the invisible field between one awakened soul and another on the rise.